So this title of Acharya is taken very seriously in India. It is both knowledge and practice, a friend, philosopher, and guide. So Mahadevan ji has PhD in physics. He's worked in aerospace industry for 20 years. He began the children's classes in Chinmaya Mission, which started from 10 students and now is up to 1,300. He conducts talks, lectures around Gita and Advaita in the area and other colleges, schools, as well as universities. He has talked to many schools, and obviously we are looking forward to listening from Acharya Mahadevan ji. Please.
Hari Om. Before I got into this Chinmaya mission, I was in the aerospace industry. And in 1978, our Gurudev, Pujya Swami Chinmayanandaji, I met him. He came to MIT to give a talk on the well-known BMI chart. The BMI chart is body, mind, intellect. And that chart, which has the spiritual, the unmanifested Brahman, that is the unmanifested Lord, the manifestations, our relations to the manifestation and the unmanifested God, and our own ego, and all that plays into that one chart. And it was so beautiful that I just hung around with him, so to speak. So, I got the benefit of that, and then there's so much of conviction that he drove that persevering spirit in me to spread this around. And that's why I'm very passionate about it. Okay? So, here we go. Let's see now. First of all, let me say a prayer to my teacher. Om samasta jana kalyane niratam karunamayam namami chinmayam devam sadgurum brahma vidvaram. So, the goal of Hinduism, actually the name for Hinduism is Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma means eternal values. Therefore, it is not specific to any religion. It is a philosophy. It's a way of life. And that way of life can go into any religious faith, and it will still bring you the truth in the way that you worship that particular truth. So and the whole purpose here is to realize our divine essence. Because the actual philosophy in Vedanta or in Sanatana Dharma is that every one of us is a spirit. This physical body is just a covering, and it's a vehicle. The body and the mind and the intellect are vehicles to help us navigate the world. And as we navigate the world, we have to be very, very careful of what our real nature is. And that's what the meaning of dharma is. Dharma means keeping yourself aligned with the spirit in you. And so you use this physical body, this mind, intellect, to move your life, whether you're a software engineer or a doctor or a surgeon, whatever you are, to move that in such a way that all your activities are turned Godwards, in the direction of that dharma, of your essence. To understand the spiritual essence, that everybody is the same spirit and the same essence is in every being, not even every human being. Plant, animal, every single thing. So the idea is that consciousness, which is formless, one without a second, the very source of bliss, which we would realize that's what self-realization means, to realize your divine essence. And until then, you suffer in this world because you identify with this physical body and you do everything as if you are a physical body, that you're an individual unit and the whole world doesn't matter to you. Okay? So the idea is this divine consciousness is the very source from which all love and compassion arises within us. And there you go. That's the true meaning of love. It is embracing that consciousness which is in everything and which is everything, which is the essence of everything. In fact, the scripture says, I quote from one of the Upanishads, it says, "From me, the consciousness, one without a second, everything arises, in me everything exists, and in me everything dissolves." So when we realize this fact, at the point when we use this body, mind, intellect to move in the world in such a way as to align with our dharma, then we will finally see that love and compassion arises in us, and you see that you practice it in every single thing that you do in the world. Now, in the very attempt to realize our essence, service and love will automatically pave the way. We have to use the tools of our body, mind, intellect to transcend that which is beyond the body, mind, and intellect and realize that which we truly are, which is the existence, knowledge, and bliss. So, how are we to get to that stage from where we are? Our Sanatana Dharma points out the methodology. This is called the fivefold pathway. Serve, love, meditate, realize, and serve, love, purify, meditate, and realize. Service and love together constitute, what it does is it purifies your mind. That means it makes your mind free of judgment. It becomes pure. The word pure means the mind is free of judgment, it's free of association. In other words, if you sit quietly and if you go to a state of meditation, your mind is absolutely quiet with nothing in it. And you're just absorbed in yourself, your divine self. So, in order to and when you realize that goal, as I said, you become one with that. You realize that you are nothing but the supreme consciousness, which means you become the very bliss of everybody. Now, what is the utility of all this? How does it help society? The very presence of such a person in the world is a blessing, because that it's like a pot overflowing with divinity. That overflowing pot has nowhere to go except to whoever is a recipient, whoever is sitting in that area. So, how does Hinduism promote love and service? We all know that service to humanity and to community is truly fulfilling in our lives. We know also all great masters in all religions of the world earned our eternal love and respect, which we call reverence, because of how they served humanity selflessly. In Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma, we call this selfless service, we call it karma yoga. Not karma. Karma is just action. But when you do karma in that spirit of dedication and with detachment, when you don't worry about the fruits of what you're getting back, but you just do it like Nike says. They did it for their own reasons. But if you just do it, then what happens is, you have nothing to gain. There are no strings attached. So what happens is your mind automatically becomes pure. And when the mind becomes pure, and when a master tells you that, hey, don't you know that you are that, then you realize the truth. But until then, you will always understand, you will never understand. Because we are so attached to this body, mind, intellect, and we have come from rebirth to rebirth to rebirth again and again and again, and we continue doing that. And until we learn this lesson, until we realize our true self, we will continuously be reborn because of all the desires that we have from life to life to life. And desires are okay, but when these desires become very, very strong, nothing can happen to it. Your physical body will go, but the mind and intellect are still so powerful that they carry with it these desires into the next body. Okay? And those are what we call, in Vedanta, we call it vasanas. Okay? So now let me come back to service. We normally serve when you have an incentive that we get for that service. But Sanatana Dharma or Hinduism says that this is karma, not karma yoga. Service itself should be the incentive, not just service to get something back. So, Hinduism believes every being is a spark of the divine. Hence, serving each being is serving the Lord. With this attitude, the quality of this service becomes meticulous. And when you serve meticulously and you unconditionally serve all humanity with one's entire being without any selfish motives, then everything happens in the right way. Our Gurudev, Swami Chinmayananda said, service in this world is the highest prayer. Loving the people around us is the greatest devotion. And I think even the Sai Baba organization said, Madhava Seva is Manava Seva. Service to humanity is service to the Lord and has been the message of many, many saints. So making love and compassion the driving force for service And making the love and compassion the driving force for service, our spiritual goal, what should it be? Maximum happiness for the maximum people for the maximum time. That should be our goal in life. Now, it is clear that, now look at it, let me look at it in a very pragmatic way in daily life. Even plunging into a task with unconditional love, spontaneously, with no preconceived notions, is truly rewarding. And how do you see that? Ask any person who loves his or her own work more than the money. For example, a software engineer, a doctor, a teacher, etc. All those people are absorbed in their work, and they're so joyful in their work, they don't care for the money. The money is just a side thing. It comes and goes. But the work is very, very important. Now, so when you do this, when true success and joy is in the process, not the result. So our Gurudev had one more beautiful quote. True success and joy is in the race run and not in the trophy won. Also, without the selfless service, the mind cannot. As I told you, the selfless service is needed for the mind to become pure, free of judgment, free of association, so that it does not have likes and dislikes. It must be just pristine. To make it pristine, you need to do the selfless service. And unless your mind is that way, you cannot realize the subtle truths. Because the subtle truths are, it's like your mind has so much of clutter in it, you can't focus on one thing at a time. So if you remove all that clutter, then there's nothing left, but your mind becomes a receptacle to absorb those divine thoughts. Otherwise, it's very difficult to understand them. The sacred text, Bhagavad Gita, there's a very beautiful quote. Lord Krishna says in the Gita, Matta parataram jnanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam proktam sutre maniganaiva. What a beautiful meaning that is. It says, hey, Arjuna, realize, Arjuna is like you and me, and the Lord is advising him on a battlefield. He's saying that, hey, the whole world here is strung on me. Whole world is like all the people in the world, all the beings in the world are like beads. And those beads are strung on me, and I am the thread that goes around everything. Understand, the thread, when Lord is saying I am the thread, he's talking about the consciousness. The consciousness is the thread that links every single being in this whole universe. So without that thread, it cannot be bound. Just look at it this way. Let's say we are all part of this thread. And if you look at yourself as a bead and look at yourself as a thread, see the difference. I am having a meeting, and I am the CEO in my meeting here, and I have a lot of people here sitting here. Supposing I think that I am a bead, then I could think, oh, that's a smaller bead. Oh, I am a more shiny bead. I am a freshwater pearl. I am just an ordinary pearl. So, you can, all these differences that can come. I am a bigger pearl. I am a shinier pearl. But supposing you thought you were the string is the same in every pearl. So what would you think? You would say that same God is there in every being. So that consciousness is one without a second. So this universal string can bind all beings together with the bond of love, a bond devoid of caste, creed, race, whether rich or poor, free of any classification. See, that's the beauty, that's the power of consciousness. So we see that Sanatana Dharma, therefore, is the philosophy of universal love that binds all humanity together. It is that philosophy wherein, following the path of selfless action towards all beings, one sees that universal bond of love, which leads one to the very goal of all humanity, the all-pervading truth. So therefore, to conclude, I just want to let you know that if we run our life so that one very pragmatic, practical way, there's a great rishi, his name is Ramana Maharshi. Ramana Maharshi said, Ishwararpitam nechaya kartam chitta shodakam mukti sadakam. He's saying that whenever you do everything, do it as if you're doing it for the Lord. Whether you set a table, nicely there, whether you're throwing trash out, do everything with meticulous care. That means be present in every action that is there. And I'm telling you, many of the religions have that presence. Presence is very important. Because if you lose track of what you're doing, you can see that the robotic part of you is missing the whole thing. But if the real you is conscious of what the robotic you is doing, that makes a big difference. You will not forget anything. You will not forget that hey, I took the keys out of the door. You will not forget that you set your alarm before you go. You will not forget that when you, when you left the house, you had closed garage door or not. All these things are conscious observations. These are all side benefits of this thing. So if we live consciously and live with the fact that all beings, that same love exists in all beings, and the fact that consciousness is what I'm trying to realize. If you live with that realization and run your life, life will become much better, and everything will be more peaceful. There will be no disagreements in the world. But I agree, it's an ideal solution, but we have to start somewhere. And if we start right now in our own way, I'm sure everything will happen. Okay? Thank you very much.